Why the Venezuelan army didn't defend Maduro against Delta Force. Analysis of armed forces capabilities and factors of collapse. Amid the political and economic tensions that Venezuela has witnessed over the past 2 decades, the Venezuelan army, the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, or FANBS, has become a central element in the internal struggle for power. It has always been seen as a fundamental pillar for the regime's survival, especially for protecting President Nicolás Maduro, who relies on the army as protection against internal coups or external pressures. However, in the hypothetical scenario we address here, where the U.S. Delta Force carried out an operation inside the capital and arrested Maduro, the army did not provide the expected defense. There are multiple military, political, and strategic reasons that explain this failure. Nominal strength versus actual readiness. The Venezuelan army's ability to defend the state appears strong on paper. The country has a complex air defense system, tanks, aircraft, a National Guard, and other units deployed across the country. But the field reality is completely different. Analytical reports indicate that FANBS suffers from low equipment readiness, ineffective focus on training and logistics. Many tanks, aircraft, and naval vessels are considered unfit for combat operations due to lack of spare parts, maintenance difficulties, funding deficits. Source: War on the Rocks. Additional factors: obsolescence of military equipment, lack of training among infantry and air defense ranks, makes it difficult for the army to execute effective traditional defense against an advanced military force like the United States. The U.S. possesses superior technologies in electronic space control, tactical aviation, and precision strikes. Military structure packed with politics and loyalty. Since the era of Hugo Chavez, Venezuela's military leadership has relied on a pattern of political loyalty rather than military competence. Chavez's structural changes significantly increased the number of officers in leadership positions to ensure their loyalty to the regime, leading to thousands of generals compared to a small number of actually deployed soldiers. Source: Georgetown Security Studies Review. Impact of this structure. This heavy command structure, based on political loyalty rather than military expertise, weakened the Army's ability to make quick tactical decisions and implement advanced defense strategies in critical times. Chain of command problems. This command chain, misled and distracted by political interests within the regime, made it difficult for Army units to coordinate effectively, move quickly to defend the capital. Intimidation and repressive control over military institution. Multiple sources indicate that the regime has increasingly relied on intelligence agencies within the army to ensure officer loyalty, even arresting those suspected of disloyalty. Source: Protomalo. Creates a climate of fear. Officers and commanders think twice before taking any step to protect the president or even execute independent orders. Deviating from loyalty could lead to dismissal, arrest, or removal from positions. Result: this type of military institution management puts it in a marginal state of defending the regime rather than defending the homeland. Internal politicization and erosion of fighting spirit. According to independent analyses, the Venezuelan army has actually become less focused on traditional military defense and more involved in the economy and internal control. Not just a fighting force, it became part of a political and economic system managing resources from oil to illegal activities like smuggling and trafficking. Source: LinkedIn. Consequences: this led to erosion of fighting spirit and military discipline. Many soldiers left service due to deteriorating economic conditions. Result: a large number of troops were not prepared in terms of training or psychological state to engage in a wide confrontation or even direct confrontation with a professional and advanced force like U.S. Delta Force. Reliance on alternative tools rather than the army. To ensure control, the regime resorted to unconventional armed formations, such as collectives, militias, and internal counterinsurgency agencies operating outside the official military arrangement. Source: The Guardian. Limitations. While these units work in the streets to control protests, they are not an extended defensive force or capable of repelling an organized attack from a military force with advanced equipment. Example: the intention to mobilize citizens or form broad popular forces appears in some popular narratives, but does not reflect a regular force capable of defending the capital against a trained special force. Source: Reddit. Weak air defense and American electronic warfare superiority. One of the decisive factors mentioned in reports is the technological superiority demonstrated by the United States. In the hypothetical operation to arrest Maduro, Venezuelan air defense systems were neutralized using aircraft specialized in disabling radars and communications, made Soviet-era systems and Chinese-supported systems ineffective, prevented effective army coordination. Source: New York Post. Impact. Without an effective communications network, coordination between brigades and different units becomes nearly impossible. Loss of electronic control prevents launching counterdefense or even organizing rapid movement to confront the invading force. Mixed loyalties and internal power struggle. Despite repeated official statements about the Army's absolute loyalty to Maduro, as the defense minister announced on previous occasions, the reality is complex. Source: BX1. Reality. Some reports indicate dissatisfaction among officers, commanders' unwillingness to engage in a high-cost confrontation, especially when offered guarantees for survival or personal protection. These mixed loyalties between preserving the regime and preserving their positions and interests reduced the Army's willingness to fight to the end. Summary: why Venezuelan military failed to defend Maduro. 7 key factors. Equipment not operational, obsolete, lacking parts, poorly maintained. Loyalty over competence, political appointments, not military expertise. Internal fear and surveillance, officers afraid to act independently. Eroded military discipline, focus on economics and control, not combat readiness. Reliance on irregular forces, militias instead of professional military. Technological inferiority, U.S. electronic warfare neutralized defenses. Split loyalties, self-preservation over regime protection. Conclusion: the Venezuelan military, despite appearing formidable on paper, was structurally, psychologically, and technologically unprepared to defend against a sophisticated U.S. Special Operations assault. Political corruption, economic collapse, and technological inferiority combined to render what should have been a defensive force into an institution incapable of protecting its leadership.